Hi everyone, and welcome back to Poised for Making, a place where I make it happen and hopefully encourage you to do the same. This is episode 3, and I am coming to you from my room in San Antonio, Texas. Yes, I am home for the summer. I'm so excited, and I've got a lot of content to share with you guys because I have been making so much and it feels so good. So let's jump right in. So for finished objects, I have one. This is actually a crochet project. It is a cushion. This is the Ravenna cushion from Pippin Poppycock, which is a blog, and I'm not sure which of the people on the blog team designed this pattern, but like I said, it is a crochet pattern, so I did crochet this, and the pattern calls for you to do it on both sides. I was not about to do that, so the back is just stripes. This yarn is all stash yarn. The gray, the white, and the black is just some worsted, acrylic, kind of itchy, random yarn that I had. And then the red is actually a bulky weight yarn. I don't remember which one, but it's a bulky weight yarn that I had in my stash that I actually separated, like the plies. It was twisted together really loosely, so I separated the plies to make it more of a worsted weight, and then I would cut off about 3 yards from the ball, separate those plies. It was 4 ply. I separated each individual ply and spliced those all together, which, as you might think, was a lot of effort. But it was worth it. I really wanted this yarn because even before I unplied it, it's a lot looser and fluffier than the other yarns in this cushion, and I really wanted the red to stand out, not only in color but also with the texture. So I'm a big fan of this pattern. I would say adventurous beginner level, and you'll see why in a minute. It's got a lot of popcorns. Like, most of the red is popcorn stitch, but then a lot of it is just plain in the round, like single crochets or half doubles. And then a lot of this variation that you're seeing up here is front post stitches. And honestly, like, I'm no master crocheter. It really was not that bad. What I will say though is when you start, it feels like it's going really fast, and then once you kind of get more to the outer edge and it's has a larger circumference, you can definitely tell it feels like it takes a lot longer to go around. And again, I'm mostly a knitter, so I can't crochet that fast, and yeah, by the end of this side, I was pretty ready to be done with it. So I decided to make the back plain. Then inside here is a cushion. You can kind of see a peek of that fabric right there. I made a circular cushion with some red fabric that I had. It's just like a cotton bed sheet from Walmart, so not super great quality fabric, but I knew it would be going in this cover, so I didn't really mind. What I did is I pretty much measured the radius of my finished circle here on the front, and I used that radius to make the circle pillow that would go inside, and that seemed to be an okay size. If you're wondering why it's kind of wonky, it's because when I made the pillow, I couldn't find my bag of polyfill. So I actually cut up pieces of foam, like upholstery foam kind of stuff that I had. I could find that, but not my polyfill. I don't know. So I cut it into smaller pieces and used that to stuff the cushion, which mostly worked, but because it's not as small as polyfill, and because it's not going to conform to the shape of the thing it's in, if that makes sense, there are a lot of like empty spots from where the like cushion just is not fitting in. Of course, a few days ago, after this had been done for a while, I found my polyfill. So I might open this back up and restuff it so that it's a little nicer. But for the time being, I like it. It looks good, and these are the colors that I am planning to redo my room with. So that was kind of like where the inspiration for that project came from. Another inspiration for making the Ravenna cushion is I want to crochet a blanket, which is very ambitious for somebody who doesn't really crochet a lot. But I saw this pattern, I fell in love with it, like thousands of other people have. It is Sophie's Universe, the Sophie's Universe Cal Afghan blanket, and I knew I could not just jump right into that pattern without brushing up on my crochet skills and brushing up on my techniques, like the popcorns and the front post stitches in the Ravenna cushion. There are a lot of those in Sophie's Universe to get some of the different textures. So the Ravenna was honestly kind of a practice run for this project. This is, like I said, the Sophie's Universe Cal Afghan by Deidre Use. And I am in the middle of part 5. There are, I think, 19 parts for the basic version, and then an additional 3 or 4 parts. I think it goes up to like 21 or 22 based on how big you want to make it, if you want to modify it. I'm not really sure how big I'm making this. I'm not aiming for bedspread at all, but I would like, a decent throw size, something I can wrap around me would be nice. So I'm thinking maybe twin size if I can stick it out that long. And this is also a lot of stash yarn. Well, it is and it isn't. The white and this light purple here, those have both been in my stash for don't even know how long. But I didn't want to get rid of them because I love the color so much, especially this purple. It's really unique and it really pops. So I wanted to do grays and purples. So again, this white is from my stash, this purple's from my stash. Then I went to Hobby Lobby and I got this dark purple color, a nice kind of neutral light gray. I got this gray color, and then I got another light purple. This one's a lot dustier than the stash purple is, but I really like it. I love this color combination so far. I did run out of this light purple yarn, and like I said, I've had it forever, so I have no idea what it is, what color it is. So I think it's just gonna be in the middle, and the rest is gonna be these like more muted purple and gray tones with that white. The yarn that I bought is by Yarnbee. It's from Hobby Lobby, and I think it's called Sleek Solids, Soft and Sleek Solids, something like that. But it is 100% acrylic. Originally, I wanted to do cotton for this blanket because I wanted something washable, but I've started to try and use less acrylic and go more for natural fibers. But honestly, the cotton yarn that was available that I could find, I just did not like the colors, to be honest. So I decided, well, acrylic will still be machine washable and it'll be durable. And if I use it all, I don't feel as bad that it's acrylic. So that's where I'm at with it. Again, this pattern is specifically for the adventurous beginner. That's what Deidre says in a lot of the blog posts and things about it, and I'd say that's pretty true. I've had a couple snags for sure. I've had to rip back a couple of times for sure, but I think it's worth it so far. And honestly, the pattern, I'm using the free version of it, which is the ebook, like in parts. And what I really like about it is there are a lot of pictures and there are a lot of hints. It's not just written assuming you know what you're doing, if that makes sense. And that is super, super helpful when you've got all this stuff going on. So you can see we've got popcorns up here, popcorns down here, we've got front posts, we've got clusters, more front posts. You've got back posts, all kinds of different techniques in here. And it's just looking really, really awesome. I'm very excited for this. And one thing that I like about crocheting a blanket as opposed to knitting a blanket is with knitting a blanket, you've got all of those live stitches. And if you want to take a break, or if you want to set it down for a couple weeks and come back, there's a chance that your stitches could get messed up. With crochet, since you just have like one live stitch at a time, if you will, and especially with something like this where you're changing colors so often, you can stop, set it aside, pull your yarn through to where it's not going to unravel everything, and your project is safe. So I have a feeling that'll come in very handy once it gets bigger, if I want to maybe work on it for a week and then set it aside, especially once it gets bigger to like a usable size. Honestly, I might be using it for a few weeks and then working on it for a few weeks to make it a little bigger, using it again, working on it, and just so on and so forth. And you can do that with a crochet blanket. You can't really do that with a knit blanket, unless you're doing it in pieces. So I am very excited about this. And since it's got so much texture and so much going on, I have not gotten bored yet. Like I said with the Ravenna cushion, towards the end I was kind of like, okay, are we there yet? Not that that's a boring pattern, it most certainly is not. But this just has so much going on every round. You've really got to pay attention. And that might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I really appreciate that, because then I want to keep going. I don't get bored. So I've been able to work on this pretty monogamously because it's just so interesting. So I'm very excited for that, and I hope you are too. If you have any tips for how to store big projects like this, I would very much appreciate it. I've been using just like a cubicle organizer like you would put on a shelf that has all of my yarn, the hooks that I've been using, and my project when I'm not working on it. But when I want to take it like downstairs to the couch to watch TV or whatever, it's kind of hard to like bring it along. You've got to have all your stuff, and since it changes colors so often, I feel like I need to have every color with me all the time. I mean, yeah. Anyway, so if you've got tips for storing and moving big projects, I would very much appreciate them. So, very excited about that. Now, the next thing I have is something I have made before, but I'm making another one, and it's gonna look pretty rough right now. I am making a Girly Knits bra top with some modifications, which I'll go over. So if you have not seen it before, the Girly Knits bra top is basically just a simple tank top pattern where the top is stockinette and then the bottom is ribbing. I've made one before. Put a picture. But I wanted to make another one with some stash yarn. This is but I wanted to make another one with some stash yarn. This is, I think, Lion Brand denim style yarn, something like that. So it's this muted pink color, but then it's plied together with like a fuzzy white strand also. So I decided this would make a nice little tank top for pajamas or just lazy days, just doing whatever. And then I have a stitch marker on here that I made. This is a little frog prince. And there's a coordinating one that's not on here anymore that says, "You never know." I think it's really cute. So that's been kind of fun. But like I said, I did do some modifications, and I did this on the last one I made also. What I did is a provisional cast on at the beginning, and I started with the bust section. So I cast on how many stitches were called for the small size bust, and I worked the bust part. And now that I've got the bust done, I'm going to pick up stitches along the provisional cast on edge and then work down and do the ribbing. So I'm kind of starting at the midline, like here, and working up, and then once I've got that, I'll come back down here and go down. And the reason I do that is because I want to know how much yarn I have and how much length I can really make with the top. So this is more random stash yarn that I had here at home that I decided I wanted to use. I have no idea what the yardage is, right? So I figure I can at least make the bust part, and then I'll just start working on the body, and however long it is how long it is. I did a similar thing with my last one, my gray one, and I really liked how it turned out, and I liked being able to have more control over the length, because when you go bottom up, you've got to commit to a length early on, and you've got to be confident in how much yarn you have and how long you can make your top. And that is just not something that I felt comfortable doing, so I'm doing it in a roundabout way. Last of all, I want to talk about some things that I bought, which is not something I usually do here, but it was very interesting and quite the adventure, so I want to share. My dad and I actually drove from Ohio back to Texas, and along the way, we were camping, and we stopped at a couple places that were alpaca farms that sold yarn from their alpacas, and I was in heaven the entire way. I've had alpaca blend yarns, but I've never worked with 100% alpaca. The first farm we stopped at is Red Hill Fiber Mill, and I've got this lovely yarn, this pink and purple yarn. So they called this colorway Lilac Dreams. It is 100% alpaca fingering weight, and it is beautiful and it's so scrumptious. And the owners of this fiber mill are so nice, very, very knowledgeable. They took my dad and I into where they actually mill the fiber and create yarn, and kind of demonstrated some of the different processes for us. It was super interesting. And then the next morning we got up and we actually got to go help feed the alpacas and like pet them, and they were adorable. Bonnie is my favorite, she's so cute. And since we have visited them, they actually had 2 new Kriyas, which I learned is the word for alpaca babies. When we visited, the owner told us, yeah, 2 of our alpacas are due to have babies soon, and 1 started going into labor yesterday, but then she stopped. Very weird topic, alpaca births, I've got to say. And unfortunately, we did not get to see one, but both of the little babies, the crias, are born now. I saw them on Facebook. They are also adorable. But this yarn is scrumptious. I don't know what else to say. So Red Hill Fiber Mill in Indiana. Awesome place to visit if you have a chance, and awesome place to get yarn from. 10 out of 10 would recommend. So then we also went to another alpaca farm in Texas, actually, in North Texas. And come to find out, this farm sends their fiber to Red Hill Fiber Mill to be milled into yarn. So this yarn was made by the same people, but it is using alpaca fleece from a different farm that we visited. And this yarn here is another fingering weight yarn. This is its natural color, this really gorgeous light tan, vanilla, beige color. I got 2 skeins, and it is also incredibly scrumptious. I have this urge with very soft yarn to just put it on my face. That's like the ultimate test of how soft it is. And actually, the owner of this farm was also super amazing, very, very knowledgeable. She knew a lot more about like breeding and sort of cultivating yarn, cultivating good fiber, I guess you could say. I followed about half of what she was saying, but it was really interesting, and you could tell she was passionate, so that was fun. But this yarn is beautiful. Like I said, this is its natural color, so I'm very excited to work with that. And while we were there, she actually gifted me this skein of worsted to Aran weight alpaca yarn. Again, this is its natural color. It's gorgeous. And she told me she has not seen any projects made with this particular animal's fleece yet. So she gifted me this skein, and in return, I'm going to make a nice project and send it to her, send a photo of it to her, for her to use as needed. Bozeman, I think that's the name of the alpaca, of the actual animal that this fleece came from. So that is super amazing. Definitely very special. Very much appreciated. I don't know what I'm going to make with this yet, but I will make something lovely. This isn't quite as soft because it's honestly just not as thin of a yarn. It is like more of a worsted, but it's still incredibly soft. So very excited to make something with that. With my other yarn, I wanted to get a third color that was kind of darker to sort of bring this down a bit, because like especially this yarn, you get this pop of pink, and there's some more spots in here of just like bright pink like that. That's not exactly my thing, so I wanted to bring it down a little more. So I got some commercial yarn. This is Yarn Bee's Authentic Hand-Dyed Tonal, and this is not alpaca, but it is merino wool, and it is also incredibly soft. So I'm going to use these 3 yarns. Oh, that's gorgeous. Okay. I think this helps kind of round it out a little better, kind of bring things down a notch, I think. But I'm going to use these 3 beautiful yarns to make a road trip shawl. which is a very on the nose name for what this is, because 3 out of 4 of these skeins came from my road trip, of course, coming home. So I plan to make the road trip shawl by Christy Becker. It is a knit shawl, and it is basically a bunch of sections of different textures. So again, it's probably going to change every once in a while. I like that. That's what keeps me interested. I have made 1 or 2 shawls before, and they were just a drag, mostly because they were garter or stockinette, and after a while that just gets really boring. So I'm very excited for the road trip shawl. I love the name, I love the look, I love the textures, and it called for 3 colors. And it specifically called for a very light color, a dark color, and a medium tone. And that is exactly what I got. So I am very excited to combine all of these lovely scrumptious yarns into a beautiful, beautiful shawl. But I'm going to try and finish the Girly Knits bra top, tank top first before I dive into that. Just so that I don't have too many things going on. We shall see. That is all of the content I have this episode. Thank you as always for tuning in. Next time I'll try and bring in, I have some more pine needle basket projects, but they aren't quite camera ready. But once I get those more ready, I will bring those to you to show you the progress on that. Very exciting. I'm still really enjoying that process. Now that I'm home, now that the semester's over, I've had a lot more time to do creative things, as you might be able to tell from all the progress I've made on that blanket, but I've really been enjoying it. It's a really nice change of pace after a very full and, of course, very different semester. So that's been refreshing. I'm really looking forward to sharing what I make this summer with you guys while I have this time to really focus on creating things and doing what makes me happy. So again, thank you for tuning in. I will see you on the next episode where we will keep making it happen.